This is Patsy from Real Property Management, Fairmate. We do property management. Today's topic is about all the rain damage and water issues that we have during this heavy rainstorm. And this is G. Gerardo. Help us explain the problems and solutions that he encountered. Take it away, G.
Hello, everyone. Obviously, I'm G. Gutierrez with Real Property Management, and I am a licensed contractor in the state of California, and we cover all of Southern California. Now, everybody knows that Southern California got hit with historic rainfall in the last 60 days here at the end of 2022 and the start of 2023. And with that, we saw many issues at our properties, and some of the issues could have been averted, and other issues we responded quickly and urgently to make sure that the properties were not damaged or to minimize the damage at the properties. Some of the things that we saw with the water problems were the roof maintenance on gutters. We saw while the rains were coming that we got calls on sometimes gutters that hadn't been serviced in quite some time. They had debris in them, and they were causing water to either seep into the roof or fall over into an area that the water was not designed to fall over in. The downspouts, we saw that sometimes the downspouts were damaged and or in locations where it was causing either flooding or water issues. Obviously, we responded to all of these calls as quickly as possible. We cleaned out a lot of gutters this year, both before, during, and after the rains, just to make sure that some of the properties that were having issues were taken care of. In other instances, we advised owners to install gutters and or downspouts in areas so that the water issues would not affect their property. Patsy, you were going to ask about a specific property?
Yes, we have a new property that we take over to manage, and we found that we have too many vegetations right up to the foot of the property. The walls and the crawl space hole is too close or too low. That causes a lot of problem, flooding in the basement, and also getting mold and mildew inside the bedrooms because the drain is not properly laid away or diverted to further away from the property.
Yes, correct. That is an issue, a specific issue we saw in a couple of our properties. One specific one that comes to mind, the property has a crawl space, which in California is very common. A lot of our homes have crawl spaces, and this particular crawl space was getting a lot of water diverted into the crawl space, and it had no outlet to leave the crawl space. So it was going up on the crawl space a foot and a half. So we had to go in and we had to remediate that water out of the crawl space and also remediate some damage that caused to the flooring and the drywall because that moisture seeped up into the wood and the walls. So this is one that we responded quickly, and we gave the property owner some solutions, including installing a cement French drain up against the wall of the exterior wall of the house where most of the water was coming in, also installing gutters on that side of the wall and diverting that water 10 to 15 feet away from the property. We also walked the property and identified certain places where the vegetation was too close to the walls, the stucco walls, the property, and we helped by moving that vegetation away from the property so that it would not damage or cause extra damage against the exterior walls.
And also we have another interesting one is that there was a chimney on the property, and somehow owner's relatives were trying to fix the problem. They just put some tar and some cement in there, and lo and behold, all the water seeped in back from the outside planter, just came up from the floor.
Yeah, I know it sounds a little funny right now, but obviously when the tenant is going through those issues and the owner hears a wall of water entering their house, it's not a funny situation. But we went out there and we quickly identified they have a planter that is right up against the wall of both chimney, fireplace, and also the stucco. We quickly obviously helped remediate that water, and we sent a solution to the owner. We sent them a couple of options, and they chose the option of wanting to keep the planter, but we are going to install vinyl siding system with tar that will help protect both the stucco and the fireplace and the chimney from water intrusion. And that should last them, quite a long time. And they'll be able to keep their planter there and keep their landscaping in shape. So sometimes there is a way to keep landscaping close to the property, but it has to be done correctly. If you hire a handyman just to put a little tar and a little cement, most likely you're going to get water that seeps into the house, and that could create major issues, major damage. And that's what we don't want. We don't want mildew problems. We don't want, the bad word, mold problems. We want to keep that water away from the house, away from the drywall, away from any part of the inside of the house.
Yes, there's another issue that we have skylights and also some of the windows, and also a vent that goes up to the rooftop, and the wind blew up the caps, and the water just come directly from the pipe into the unit.
Yeah, with historic rains, you start seeing if there was a small issue in the skylights, all of a sudden it becomes a big issue. It is very important when you hire roofers to hire licensed and insured roofers, and that they know what they're doing. Sometimes you might think you may be getting a great deal by somebody, Joe Handyman, that says, hey, I can, redo your roof. But, when we get up there, we saw a lot of roof installations weren't done properly, where the skylight meets the asphalt shingles. And we ended up doing quite a few repairs on both skylights this year, because the roof installer or whoever they had sent to patch the roof in previous times had not done a proper job. And the flashing around these skylights, it needs to be done properly, and it needs to be tucked into the shingles properly. Tar paper needs to be used, felt paper, some people call it, properly, and we need to have a proper install by someone that knows what they're doing. That way we can avoid some of the issues that these houses had with water intrusion into the skylights, and us having to go out there in the middle of the rain to help out these properties at times.
Yes, and a lot of times what we do is after they finish the work, you go out and actually physically check the work that is being done to make sure that it is done properly, because it's hard to get up on the roof.
Yeah, correct.
A lot of times
It's hard to get up there when it rains, but we do everything up to code, to city, state, county code standards. In instances where we need to get a permit, we will get a permit. In instances where it's an emergency repair, we can take pictures and we can obviously show it to an inspector if need be, and all the work is done up to code and would pass inspection in any city or county.
Yes, the last thing I could recall is that there are a lot of subterranean parking issues. When the water comes in from groundwater, there's really not much you can do except making sure that the sub pump is working and the sewer line, the drain line is cleared out. If you have water coming through a subterranean groundwater, the only thing you can do is redirect. The water is going to come and they're going to get it at the low point, and there really is not much you can you can work with on the water. They take over. They are very powerful source. So preventative measure is very important, and we try to schedule all the preventative maintenance beforehand, instead of, well, when it rains, you can't do anything. You can just only put a bucket underneath the leak until it is dried out. So that's very frustrating for the owners, and also for the tenants, and for us too, because we feel the pressure, right?
Yes, correct. It's very important for owners and investors to remember that not only do we snake clogged drain lines to the house, but we also snake clogged drain lines that serve to drain water off the property. And those need to be kept up, and proper inspection, usually a yearly inspection on those, would serve a great measure to keep water from damaging your property. With sump pumps, a yearly inspection on those sump pumps also works great. We've inherited properties that didn't have an inspection measure in place, and when they came with our properties, we've put them on an inspection schedule for their sump pumps, because we have seen them fail. And when it fails, it's not pretty. You'll have water rise up quickly, 2 to 3 feet. Just this year, I was swimming around in a 3-foot pool right in front of the property, and almost made it into the property, but we were able to work quickly to pump that water out.
Yeah, that was some quick measure. That was before they ran out of pumps. That's good. Okay, so that concludes our session this time. So we look forward to the next session of maintenance issues. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Patsy.